Hi, this is Mike, and we're looking at the Bitcoin chart. When aren't we looking at the Bitcoin chart, right? Well, lately it's been my focus of attention just due to, look at it. Look how it moves. It's amazing, right? It's amazing how it moves. I love how it moves. So, look, in my last video, I told you what's going to happen, right? And the video before that, and for the last 48 hours, I probably got it wrong a couple of times, but mostly I made profit off this move, right? And it's funny because it was the last move that made most of the money in the end. So even though I was tired as hell by the end of the day, I still managed to find that idea that led to that move, right? All I did was ask questions, constantly asking questions, right? Because that's what you do, right? My background is in IT, right? I started my YouTube, show now, the AriasWave show. Right? I do the editing myself. My background is in IT. I produce my own ideas. I produce my own analysis. I also produced AriasWave, the methodology as to how I make my ideas, right? And since 2020, I've been posting about these ideas, right? I created AriasWave 2015, tested it for a few years, and you know, like all I'm doing is getting better at the methodology I created, right? So I'm not going based on anybody else's garbage. That's why I sound the way I do and I talk about it the way I do because nobody else knows about this stuff. So if I'm going to show it to you, I got conviction and I produce results, right? It's all about producing results, all right? Now, even though I called this a CDE or the DE pattern at the highs, right? A break of that wave E is illegal, right? It's a violation of the waves. Except I've seen it happen before with Bitcoin when this type of setup occurs. And I even talked about it in my last video. And I said I like it how Bitcoin likes to make me look wrong. Except now what I'm doing is I'm taking that information and I'm processing it into why does the CDE pattern so small actually get broken like this at certain times, but never the high, right? Because that's almost there to cause confusion. But I've seen it happen so many times, I'm immune to it now, right? So that's why you can create a methodology, right? And you could also have experience, right? You know how they say there's book smart and there's street smart, right? So creating the methodology was the book smart version, and actually starting this channel and posting ideas and practicing it live in front of a live audience every day, that was the street smart that I needed to learn, right? Be cocky, but don't be cocky to the point where, you're shit and your shit doesn't work, right? If you're going to be cocky, at least be cocky and actually, you're talking some kind of truth. So over the last 48 hours, like I posted about this move that started so low, right? I got it wrong in terms of the first count of wave one because you got to think about it this way, right? What a piece of shit wave one that is compared to the correction. Normally, the correction's the one that's weak, not the first wave. So naturally, you're going to think about this and say, "Oh yeah, this is a breakout, right?" Why? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because you got to look at what everybody else is looking at, right? Oh, look, we have a lovely little trend line here. You put the trend line down, you get a break. Now that's a classic thing, right? I used to do that back in the day before I created AriasWave. Put a trend line down, you get a break. You get enough people looking at this type of thing, it will work, right? But it will only work temporarily, right? Um, just because you put a trend line down doesn't mean you know about how the markets work, right? I can guarantee you that's 100% accurate, right? I only like to talk about accurate things, right? So that's why it's like a programmer, right? A coder. It's all about, well, if and then, right? If and then commands, right? If this happens, then this happens. That's how I created RSWave based on that principle of programming. Except I could never figure out a way to turn it into an app because our brains are way more powerful than your ability to code, right? Well, at least mine. I speak for myself there. You might be really good at coding. Um, so so basically, like if you could take what I do and put it into an app, just message me. We need to talk. But in general, like for me, everything has been an experience of learning and discovery based on the framework, which is AriasWave, right? So therefore, you may be thinking, well, this is too sharp. This is going to break out. And you know what? It did break out. It broke out of my E wave that should never be broken out of. But you ain't going to break the highs. It's not going to happen, right? This is not supposed to be a weak 5 wave move down, right? Uh, it could be. Did I just say that? It could be, right? Just randomly blurt out shit. Why? Because I've thought about it before and I thought, look, if there is a chance that that will happen, then we need to at least talk about it, right? So, what if this is a weak 5 wave move? What do you need to classify it as a 5 wave move? Well, we need to think logically about the pattern itself, right? We need to think for a minute that maybe, just maybe, right? This here is a wave one, right? Because I like to say I'm right, but sometimes things need hindsight, right? They need hindsight. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It means I was wrong about a certain part of the count. Doesn't mean the whole thing is wrong. Right? That's the thing that you don't get about fractal patterns. Sometimes I could be wrong and still make money, right? Because the fractal patterns allow it, right? Because they're fractal patterns. You don't understand this. Like yesterday, we shorted at the highs down here. I said, oh, this is a truncation, right? Happened right down here. This is a high, it's a truncation. I could explain to you why I made money on that little move. During this massive move up, I made money halfway through it by shorting it, not realizing that I was seeing something else, took the profits and then changed direction and made more percentage gains than the whole move up until that point did, right? Like if you look at it from the low, from the absolute low to that point, it was 12%, 30. Okay, a lie. Let me rephrase that. From the beginning of wave E to that point, right? It was about 10%, right? 10, 11%, right? From that area, from the lows, it was 13%. Okay, so technically I'm right, whatever, it's not the point. So, like, I mean, who can even trade this up knowing anything about this move at all, right? Even taking profit and shorting it in between, like, who can do that? Did you do that? Now, I'm not here to gloat, and I do wonder why I have so many bloody fibs on my thing, though. That was weird. So, what I want to talk about now is your perception, right? Your perception tells you that was a weak move. This is a breakout. Okay. So my perception tells me that maybe I was wrong about wave one. Maybe it was weak, and that's why it retraced all the way up. Because why would a move retrace all the way up like this? Probably because wave one was weak and I just didn't realize it at the time. So then you go back and you quickly on the fly analysis. That's why I love making videos because I actually think on the fly a lot better. Because I noticed that during high volatility events, if I'm wrong, my brain has to think quick. And I've done it for so many years now that I already have the answer because I thought about it once and now I'm just spitting it out. I'm like, boom, change the direction or whatever you do, right? So here we said wave one potentially because that was always a question mark, right? And now that we've broken that high, you can think, oh, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that analysis. Why? Well, one, wave D is tiny. Why would wave D be that small? And I've said that before out of confusion because wave E happened. But I also said that this was a full correction within wave E, and I know that I just dismissed that at one point, and I do that sometimes, right? And it's a flaw of mine, but it's like a psychological trigger to keep moving forward, and it can cause problems, right? It's my version of confusion, but continuing to push forward because I know fractal patterns they can do this. So what does that mean? To me, what it means is that, well, if that's wave one, wave two probably ended down here. So potentially it was this wave that was the answer to this A, right? And then that correction happened there. So alternation be no, not real, no alternation. Oh yeah, actually, alternation here. If this is wave four versus this is wave two, right? So what was that five wave move all about? Well, now I think it's become a bit clearer that this move down here can now be explained properly. This was not an E wave. Rubbish. This was a small B wave, right? So if I had to just borrow some things here, it was a zigzag leading, not leading, but week five wave move for wave A, right? Elliott waves would call it like a leading diagonal, which can happen in A wave, even though most of their stuff is garbage. That's true, right? Which means that up here I had it right the first time, right? That was A, B, C, D, E. I was looking for answers, frustration, answers, right? That happens all the time, right? We're human. We need something to help us move forward. We look for answers. Sometimes I do that, and I'm trying to do that less. I'm aware of it, I'm conscious of it, so I'm trying to push forward with that, right? So, therefore, right at this point, there was no rules broken, right? So, what is the true endpoint of the move up in the correction? Right? It barely tapped 90%. Well, it did go above it and then reverse. Okay, that's the pretty high point. Okay, so what does that tell us about weak way, five wave moves? They get fully retraced most of the time, right? So, take a mental snapshot, remember it, move forward. But now this presents us with a little bit of a problem. We just said that D wave didn't happen there. So, what does that mean? It means that we are actually now not in wave one, but in a wave D. Can you see how I did that? If and then. If not this, then this. If not that, then that. So now, if you're going to short this beautiful move up, what are you going to do? You're going to target the lows, which I said, if you're going to be conservative. No, I didn't say that about this move, actually. I lie. I said that about the whole move. So, technically, ooh, damn, this presents us with some more cheesy information. And I'm sure you want to hear it. That's why you've been staying in this video for this long. If this is a D wave, then does that mean we could see a CDE pattern? Now, I love CDE patterns. They're bloody amazing. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. So basically, at the lows, we had a CDE pattern, right? CDE, except E was huge, massive, right? Sorry, that sounded weird. But that means that potentially what we could see here is a move down to the lows, well, basically the same length as wave A, right? So basically, to be safe, would be targeting the lows. So to be absolutely safe, 100% safe, guaranteed, you target the absolute low point. So even if it does just tag the bottom there and then reverse, that's okay. All right, you still took your profit. And now this is some good profits to be made here. So ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention, right? What happens next may actually cause this market to produce another one of these babies. Okay? Now I'm starting to realize why people think that Bitcoin is going higher. Ah, interesting, isn't it? All right, cool. So what does that mean for the larger pattern? A, B, C. It doesn't mean anything, right? Actually, what it means, got to look for evidence here. All right, so if this is oh, my labels doubled up. No, they didn't. What the hell is this doing here? Oh, some labels have come out of nowhere. Okay, that happens sometimes when I have multiple screens. Hopefully with premium that won't happen, but I don't know. So let's okay. So this is an A wave down, expanded zigzag. This could actually change how long B wave will be, which is good. That means it won't go that low. Well, at least the B wave won't, but there will be other stuff happening in between. And it could also mean, well, this could actually explain a lot. That's actually a good point. I never bloody thought of that. It might actually mean that wave A doesn't go as low as I thought, potentially. All right. All these lines everywhere. I don't know where the hell they came from. Right. So, okay, look, let's not get carried away. This is what I think could happen, right? If it's a CDE pattern, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. You should be happy. Well, especially if you're a space cadet, right? Space cadets, look, even my background's black. There's a bit of spaciness going to happen for you if you're a space cadet. Anyway, watch my YouTube video. I actually referenced a spaceman. I remember somebody commented here once as spaceman. That was funny. Not funny. Anyway, so yeah, here we have the C. So this is a C, wave C, right? I might as well make them big so you can see them, right? Because there's so much stuff on this screen, right? So what the hell's the D doing down there? What the? My labels have been. There's another D. How many Ds do I need? I don't need that many Ds. All right, something's gone wrong with my chart. Sorry about that. I'll fix my chart up, okay? So this is B. Okay, that's true. B is true. Okay, so B wave there. So B, C, D, and then E will come somewhere up here. So you heard it first. This was actually on the fly thinking, on the fly analysis. So you're going to see a zigzag type looking pattern. Now, okay, look, let me just say this, right? That explains the bullishness that this correction has, right? And I can guarantee you that this is not the E wave, right? Even though it's sharp, because it has corrective components, right? And we haven't seen a D wave yet. Okay, that's not a D wave. Okay, get that out of your head. No, no. Although it could be, and I'm kidding. Well, the problem is the corrective components in here, right? Because if not, then this, right? If I didn't trade this up the way I did, this being a fully corrective wave, then damn, that could be an E wave. I mean, look at how sharp it is. Christ. The problem is that it's not an E wave, right? E wave like this don't exist. Okay, I'm sorry. Learn AriasWave and you'll learn all about every single pattern that the market will ever make. And we can get rid of this nonsense thinking. All right, this is going to look completely weird, absolutely. But you should definitely anticipate a move down to where this correction started. All right. So look, I'm not even going to touch on the highs there. You can see a huge shooting star pattern up. That's not a shooting star. Maybe on the 4 hour. Yeah, on the 4 hour it is. Right, we're looking for that confirming candle on the chart. Sorry, I was trying to sound like Steve Nissen. Anyway, look, I'll leave it there. Target the lows, which I've already said in my idea. I think I better update my idea. Okay, thanks for watching.